when you were running for president, but I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Just skip over the racism.
Vivek Ramaswamy and Patrick Bet-David both laid in to Ann Coulter for saying things that are that's just wild to me. And maybe I'm overreacting to this. I'm sure a lot of people in the comments are going to tell me that I am. Let me know in the comments what you think of this whole thing once you see exactly what's happening. You can see this tweet from the PBD podcast, Patrick Bet-David's podcast. Too brown to be the president. Vivek Ramaswamy reacts on his exchange with Ann Coulter after she told him she wouldn't vote for him because he's an Indian. I did not expect she would just kick it off right there, get right into business. I mean, that is a wild statement. Let's get the full context on it before we start reacting to it. And hopefully you can form your own opinion and let me know who's in the right, who's in the wrong. Let's share this clip here from Patrick Bet-David about Vivek Ramaswamy and Ann Coulter.
Ann Coulter, who we've had on the podcast before. Ann Coulter, I think you and her are, on a show together. You're doing something together. And she asked this question. I just want to get your reaction on. Rob, go ahead and play this clip.
That's why I brought on today somebody who I think has some thoughtful perspectives on the future direction of our country, of our conservative movement, and on this question of nationalism and national identity, somebody I've been fascinated by for a long time.
Can you fast forward to when she says it,
Rob? With on social media, but for the first time we're having
is it right here?
Live form conversation in the offline sense of it. It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I, too, am a fan of yours, so I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Just skip over the racism.
Yeah, I just think everybody's brains are broken. Like, I feel like I'm the crazy one, but I think the 2020 and the years that followed just broke everyone's brains. Like now, like this is just too much. Like I understand a lot of people are going to be in the comments saying, oh, based Ann Coulter, but it's like, it's a little bit too far. I'm not one of those people that's going to trust Vivek Ramaswamy fully or Donald Trump or any person who's running for president. Because obviously, they're power hungry and stuff like that if you're running for president. So it's like, you shouldn't trust any of these people fully, but to not trust them and to not think that they would run the president or not run the country as the president in a good way, simply because of the color of their skin or their nationality or whatever. I mean, that's just not, it's not right. It's just not. It just feels like your brain is just broken. Your brain is fried. Just because the guy is Indian, like his bloodline is Indian. Obviously, he's born in America. But just because his bloodline is Indian, of Indian descent, like I don't really understand. Maybe somebody can explain it to me. But it just feels like both sides now are so obsessed with race and nationality that it's gone too far. It's to the point where it feels like everybody's brains are broken. And I feel like I'm the crazy one for not being extremely racist, either with the left being racist against white people or the right saying stuff like this. And a lot of them, at least Ann Coulter has the balls to say it openly. A lot of people won't actually say these things, and they're just going to comment under this post and be like, based Ann Coulter. But they don't have the balls to actually say that, they're racist like this. I find them both sides are just they're too far. Like 2020 broke everybody's brains.
But first of all, did you know she was, because it seems like when you guys are starting, there's a little bit of tension. I don't know if there was like getting started where there was tension or not.
Oh, you're pretty good at picking that up, man. So to give you the context here. So I ran this podcast during the presidential campaign. Okay. It was called Truth.
Yeah.
I took some time off after the campaign, and now, getting back in the swing of things. So we relaunched the Truth podcast, just relaunched it officially last week. So, get that up on the ground. We'd have good conversations.
Right.
And I wanted to pick on some people who had poked me a little bit on social media or in other ways to be able to, it's kind of boring to just talk about everybody who agrees with the same thing.
Right.
But let's get a little bit of tension from the left, from the right. So I'll bring Ann Coulter on because during the campaign, I don't remember what exactly she said, but on numerous instances would comment on different ways in which I might not be quite qualified to be president, right? So let's get it on and have a conversation. And both.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Both of us are interested in the theme of nationalism. I did not expect she would just kick it off right there, get right into the business. And I think it actually made for a really good conversation, believe it or not. Of course, I disagree with hell like her on that being a criteria to be the U.S. president is her description of whether or not you're an Indian. I'm born in the United States. I'm as American as they come. But I thought it actually formed a really strong basis for an honest conversation that we otherwise don't have. Because her view is that in order to actually be a U.S. president, you got to be even more American, right? So you're not fully American if your parents weren't from the United States of America. And in order to trust somebody, the more generations they've been here, let's say you've been here 6 or 7 generations, you have more of what she would call, I think she did call it in the podcast, a security policy. It's like an insurance policy that you know that if you're going to put somebody in that high office, at least you know that they've really, really soaked up what it.
You see, I just disagree. I think that there should be further qualifications, I think, for the president. I don't think it should have anything to do with your parents, where they came from. I don't think it should have anything to do with that. I, in fact, think that a lot of immigrants and like second-generation immigrants love America a lot more than people who have been here for generation after generation. A lot of these people who are protesting America, which, let's be real, the people who are protesting, Israel and their free Palestine people, they're just seizing the opportunity to be anti-American. And just like every other group of protests that has been the last 5 or so years, it's just people trying to be anti-American where possible, tearing down statues, flags, and everything like that. A lot of those people have been in America for generations, A lot of these immigrants love America a lot more than people who have been here for a long time, because the people who have been here for a long time, generation after generation, they take the things for granted that immigrants can actually, appreciate. So I think there should be further qualification, personally, and this would also disqualify Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he's Hindu or something. But I think the president should be Christian, personally. I'm of that stance, because I think it's a lot more about your morals and your principles than it is just like where your parents came from, and how. Like, I don't think you should gauge how much someone loves America based on and like the decision making that they like. I don't think that you should think that someone whose parents isn't from America wouldn't make the best decision for America, because I think that someone who was second generation immigrant could probably appreciate the things that America has to offer a lot more than someone who just takes everything for granted. And hopefully that came across how I wanted it to.
It means to be American. Now, I disagree with that. Because you have people in the 7th generation Americans who are the kids of some, I've known many of these people, grow up in the Upper East Side. Some daughter who lives in Brooklyn thinks she's a hippie, talks about hating this country. Well, I don't think that person's any more American than I am just because my parents happen to have been legal.
To be clear, I didn't even watch this far into the clip, so I didn't even know that Vivek was about to make the same exact point. It seems like he is. So I just watched the first couple of minutes, thought it was interesting. I like to react to these live with you guys. So I didn't even know that Vivek was about to make the same point to Patrick Bet-David here.
Immigrants to this country.
So I got 2 questions for you.
But it made for a good conversation.
I got 2 questions for you with this, okay? On one end, how many people you think are like, if you were to say, of the voters block, what percentage of the voter block agrees with her?
So say in the Republican primary?
In the Republican primary to say, you know what, question. I'm not going to, even if it's 1%, 2%, 3%, what do you think it is?
So I will tell you this with confidence. It is a lot higher than I believed it was a year ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot higher than I believe you would think it is, too.
Interesting.
Which is why, and I said this on social media, and some people hit me on the left from it, I said I respect her for saying it, even though I disagree. Right? Because at least she has the spine.
It's so funny that he's making the same exact point. I promise you, I put it on in everything. I did not pre-watch this clip. I was reacting to this live. But he's speaking facts, dude. At least she has the spine to say it, but there's a ton of people out there who are thinking the same exact way, and they're going to comment under this post that they made on PBD podcast, under maybe this YouTube video, and say, based and Coulter, but they would never actually say it to his face. If you ran up to Vivek Ramaswamy in real life, he'd be like, oh, Vivek, big fan,
To say in public what many other people, not a majority, not even close to a majority, but a lot of people. She's not alone. She is voicing a view that I think is widespread. And, actually, I what the hell? We're here. We're just gonna let loose a little bit. I had somebody text me who had run for position. You guys might know her, Harmeet Dillon. You know Harmeet Dillon?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Harmeet's super cool, so I hope she's fine with me saying this because I think it's important that the public know. We can't just have these conversations behind closed doors, not having them in the open. Said that when she ran for her position of being the chairwoman of the RNC, she had many people tell her the same thing too, which is interesting to me because most of the grassroots was, a lot of the grassroots were with me, a lot of grassroots were with people like Harmeet, but there are people who believe that if you're electing people to positions of leadership, how American you are is a spectrum.
When you were out there campaigning, did anybody face you, confront you, and say, I would totally support you, but you're too brown for me? Did anyone say
So
it?
I had many of those for religion. So I didn't have anybody come up and say that because of, well, there were people on social media who would make an argument. It wasn't on ethnicity. And this is part of Ann's point, too. It's the point that your parents were immigrants to this country. And so you are truly not at the highest level of being American to be president of the United States.
Right.
So we had a number of people that would say that occasionally. A much more common one, though, for people to my face was, I would love to vote for you. It's difficult for me to vote for somebody else because I agree with you more, but I can't do that because you are Hindu. That came up a lot, especially in Iowa.
And I think that's a whole lot more respectable. Like, I actually think that's a great point, that because he's Hindu, he might have a different set of morals and principles and beliefs, or he definitely has a different set of beliefs than, America, which is historically a Christian nation, whether you want to believe it or not. It is a Christian nation historically, and it should, in my opinion, be a Christian nation to this day. But I don't think voting for someone or not voting for someone based on where their parents came from or the color of their skin is a smart move. We should, we always preach, we're supposed to be the side of, oh yeah, whoever is the best for the job should get the job and all this other stuff. And we shouldn't have DEI. We shouldn't have, we shouldn't be focused on the color of people's skin, but the content of their character. And whoever, like I said, is the best person for the position should get the position. And yet when it comes to this, it's like, oh, because your parents are from India and you have brown skin, I'm not going to vote for you. I understand where Ann Coulter is coming from. I'm not going to be this crying SJW and say, racist. Like, I understand where she's coming from. I just don't think that is the most intellectual take on the situation, the most intellectually honest way to view the situation. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you are going to think I'm completely wrong. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole Vivek Ramaswamy, Patrick Bet-David, and Coulter situation.